HIPAA.
Hey.
um, so you know why I wanted to do this? I thought it'd just be fun to kind of talk to you because you have so many stories, growing up as a kid that you've shared over the years, but I feel like I've never got them condensed or recorded or anything like that. And so I think it'd be fun to kind of just go through that in a more linear motion. So one of the ways I wanted to start this was I feel like by my age, I'm already starting to lose some of my first memories or whatever. And the older you get, the harder it is to remember, earlier days. So I'm curious.
For sure, yeah.
At this point in your life, what are some of your first memories that you have?
First grade, I guess, when I was in first grade, those are, still a little bit, and that's not as clear as they used to be, even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, first grade.
Yeah.
I remember first grade because they had classes in the morning and in the evening for
right. It's
yeah,
split, right?
Primaria and secundaria.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I started first grade in the mornings.
Uh-huh.
And at the end of the year, they're like, guess what? We're going to have to pull some kids from the morning shift. They're going to go to the evening.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just because of space or why?
And there were, space.
Yeah.
And it was just one school in my town at that time.
So you had to start going to night school when you were
night school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so does that mean more time for chores in the morning?
More, absolutely. Absolutely more chores, yeah.
So I know you said first grade is the first thing you can remember. Were you going to school first or were you doing chores first?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both?
Well, yeah.
But what were your first chores that you can remember that you were having to do?
Feeding the pigs, that was one of them a lot.
Yeah.
We used to have pigs and chickens, and so at a very early age, I would start going to get, we had donkeys. We have donkeys, chickens, pigs.
Yeah.
So that was basically all those things
Right.
you got to do. And then some of the stuff going getting wood at that time when I was 6 years old, 7 years old, I couldn't do it. Yeah, so I'll tag along with my brothers.
Okay. Yeah, just be a helper.
Just to be a helper and then watch and learn.
Yeah.
Learn a lot because eventually that will be your chores.
Right.
Yeah, and and they were a year apart from my two oldest brothers.
Right, they were close. Yeah, close in age.
So by the time that I was basically 10 years old, I was already doing the feeding the pigs everything by myself, getting what they needed to eat, the pumpkins.
Uh-huh.
And I can't remember what the name in English is for this. Not like a grass, but it's this kind of plant that will grow in the field, and then we'll go and get it and then feed it. Then they love that stuff.
Oh, it was like a
it's
feed.
Called, it's called kelite.
Okay, yeah.
But
I'm not familiar with the English
I
word.
honestly don't know what the English.
But it's food for the animals.
Food for the animals,
Yeah.
and they loved it.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I would pack go on my donkey, and I had a bunch of stuff on both sides of the donkey, right?
Yeah.
Because it had a saddle.
Right.
It had a saddle, and you put on the side, you put kelite on one side, kelite on both sides, and then I climb on top of it, and then I come in,
Yeah.
have my machete,
Right.
and all that. So it was, when I was, I said 10, 11 years old, I was doing a lot of the stuff for myself.
Okay.
Going to the river to get water for drinking water.
Right.
At that point, we didn't have any purified water,
Right.
So it was from the river.
Gotcha.
So, but there were lots of little things that you would do. Take out the, take out the garbages.
I gotta stop you one sec. You're very verbal Latino, but you're moving your hands, and there's when you smack the table, you create an echo. So just be
sorry.
You're good. I just want to just be light on the table when you put the drinks down and hands down. Sorry, I don't have the best studio.
All right.
Yeah, but cool. All right, so So backtracking just a little bit, in your experience, like, is that most kids in the town in Lamuco? Is that like their first job? Is like feeding him? That's like an early thing that a lot of young kids can do.
Yes, because unfortunately over there at that time, when I was a young kid,
Yeah.
Most of the guys they do like outdoor things, and then the women do kitchen stuff. And then I wish I would have learned more in the kitchen now because I didn't get that chance.
You're a good cook, though. You're a really good cook.
Decent cook. A lot of them. I mean, I used to call my mom a lot. My mom and my sisters. And, hey, how do you do this? But I didn't get the opportunity at a really early age.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it frowned upon to learn in the kitchen as a young boy at that age, or like how much were gender roles a big part of the culture?
It was a big part of it, just because my dad was always like a very, I guess like a macho man thing, like a
machismo?
like machista.
Yeah. How would you describe? Because I feel like sometimes people get too much like caught up in like machismo, whereas I feel like everywhere in the world has sexism. But like, do you think there's something specific about like Mexican machismo, or is
he was
like, how would you define that? Because I sometimes get lost when people try to make it specific to Mexico. Like, how do you define a Mexican machismo man?
Well, like he would not let you go and make, for example, like this. My dad would not go into the kitchen, let us make tortillas, or like
the boys,
like the boys. If you're a boy and you're going to try to make tortillas, he would just give you the look, or like, "What the heck are you doing?"
Really?
Oh yeah, he will be straight up and tell you that.
Dang. So it wasn't even like you were ever asked to. It was like you can't do it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I mean, he was like way up there. I mean, I tried to understand him, but he just didn't have the best role models, I guess.
No, of course. In your experience with other people in the town, like was his actions pretty normal? Were there some guys who would let their boy kids make tortillas in the town, or no? Was that basically standard?
I would say 50-50.
Oh,
like,
really? So there's like some maybe more
there's a lot of and there's
Mm-hmm.
some people that were like, let him do it, and let him take care of himself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
No.
But because there were some people that they went to school. Like my dad didn't go to school, so
right. When did he stop? Did he ever go?
He learned when he was an adult.
Well, like did he ever step foot in school?
I think he went to second grade, I think.
And that was it?
And that's it.
Yeah.
And then he learned a little bit when he was 18 years old, 19 years old, I think.
Okay.
I think in Mexico City. He lived in Mexico City.
Oh, he did? Oh, I actually
just for a little bit.
I never knew that. Just for like
just for a little bit.
City.
He would go and get a job and come back home.
Yeah. Well, that's actually something we can talk about, I guess, because I know a lot of men from the town were going to the United States for work.
Yeah.
When you were growing up.
That's what he mostly did.
Right. How do you think that affects kids and the women in a town to have men gone so often? Does that create...
It is a little strange because, I mean, there were 8 of us, and so for us, he kind of needed to be out of the house just to keep sending us money,
right?
So we can survive there.
You can't make enough,
right? Yeah, because if he were to just live there and just work down the farm for somebody else,
right?
That wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And
because you guys owned a small property, or you rented a small.
No,
property?
we have a small property that was used to be my grandpa and my grandpa and my dad. He gave some of it to my dad, and then now it's ours. It's like, our family. Like,
right.
It's technically still my dad's, but he let us use it.
Yeah.
Like Jose is using it right now.
It. Okay.
And he's the one. He's the only one there, so he gets to use it.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's he was always gone. Basically, he was always he would be gone. Like sometimes he would be 6 months, a year, and at a time, and sometimes even 2 years. I think he was gone. Yeah, for a while.
How many years do you think he was gone in your childhood? Because so without, I don't want to give spoilers, but like your childhood basically lasted till you're 15, right?
Basically.
It ended pretty early.
Pretty early. Yeah.
But for those 15 years, how many was he gone? If you had to guess.
If I had to guess, I want to say at least 6 years, 6 out of that.
Yeah.
Maybe even 7.
Really? About half of it.
Yeah, basically half of it, yeah.
Did it feel like you had a true father figure growing up, or did it kind of feel like were you always kind of afraid and distant from your dad?
I was always intimidated by him.
Yeah.
I was always like afraid, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean,
are there good do you have good memories with him? Like could he be very fun? Was
he can be very fun
up and
sometimes.
down?
He can be very fun. So, he'll be like, I remember like, when we only had one room in our house and nobody slept in that one room, right? Everybody was like outside.
Wait, lay it out for me. Lay it out for me. I don't remember
so
that.
It was basically, as you come into our house, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's say this is our house right here. This small room. From that wall to that window right there will be one room right there.
Okay.
That's one room.
Yeah.
And there will be a bed in there. But hardly ever slept in there, in that room. And on this side is open. So this open area, we put like 2 or 3 beds in there.
Okay.
And
the kitchen's outside.
And the kitchen outside. But we always have a patio cover, and there will be more beds there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you guys alternate sleeping spots, or do you have like an assigned? Like
we have like you have like an assigned. You have an assigned.
Where were you sleeping most of the time? Inside or out? Did you have on the inside or the outside?
No. Well, there will be. Like I say, it would change a little bit, but not every night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like at some point, I was sleeping in the room for a little bit. Like my brother Pancho and I would share one bed. And then the girls would share another bed.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, he was the oldest, so he will have his own bed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. What were the beds made out of?
They call it correa. It will be wood on the sides, obviously on the sides, but in the center, it will be just like a tire.
Tar or like rubber?
Rubber.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it will be. They call it. Cama de correa.
Okay.
It just had like strips of rubber, basically.
Oh, like woven together?
Yeah, all the way across.
Oh.
It would go this way and this
like
way.
Crosshatched?
Like a cross, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you see those palm, they call petate. I think you remember seeing those when we went to Zihuatanejo a couple years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
That you can kind of lay it kind of like a...
right.
Not a blanket, but it will be palm, made of palm.
Yeah, yeah.
But it would go on top of the rubber.
Right, right.
And that was it. There wasn't no, 5-star mattress.
No, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. That's interesting. So with him gone so much, do you feel like your mom kind of had a father figure, more of a father figure role?
She did. Absolutely. She did. And it's funny that you say that because my sister and I were talking about, just like, you know what? Now that, all this happened with mom, now it's like, yeah, Erika was saying, it's like, you know what? Mom really did everything for us.
Yeah.
She took both roles, mom and dad.
What does that mean to you exactly?
To me, it was mostly basically she made me be responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it was like you do what is right, do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I got from her.
Yeah.
I always tried to kind of stay out of trouble.
Did you get what are some like the worst discipline moments you ever got from her? Like
from her?
Yeah.
Oh, there were little things like
yeah.
Obviously if I didn't do my chores or homework, she would be pushing me sometimes to do that.
Yeah.
And she would just get the chancla and then start chasing me around the house. And I would end up under the bed sometimes.
Oh, so the one room with the bed, that's where you go hide?
Well, or where all the beds were together.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you could get under them.
You can
still.
get
They
under.
were- They were ready.
Oh yeah, you could get under,
Gotcha,
no
gotcha.
problem. So, and
Yeah.
she'll be like, "Oh, it just went. You get out." She never did anything after that.
Yeah.
So she would just chase me around.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, no, she was a tough lady.
Yeah,
She was tough.
yeah. It's I feel like did she? I mean, did she ever talk about like, oh, I'm having a bad day or anything like that?
She never did that.
No,
No,
that's not part of the culture, really.
really, no, that's not.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
actually never say anything like that.
like complaining about like, oh,
No.
I'm stressed out or something like that just wasn't really a
She
thing.
never did.
Yeah,
I remember occasions where she would get a little grumpy just because, especially when, being a bunch of us around Independence Day, like September 16th, when we do the march through the town and everybody gets new tennis shoes and new
oh right, It's
uniforms and all that. So that was a big expense for the
right,
whole,
right.
for
There's like
everybody.
a pressure to look good with everybody
Yeah.
and stuff.
Well, you kind of had to buy it, and for the kids, we'll get excited because you get tennis
New
shoes,
clothes, yeah,
and that was the only chance to get a new pair of tennis
Yeah.
shoes. When you don't get any other pair of tennis shoes. No,
yeah.
that's it.
That's it for the year.
That's it for the year, dude.
Yeah. Would you play soccer in them, or would you get in trouble if you did?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'll ruin them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I never had a pair of cleats. I always play with tennis shoes.
Did you like tennis shoes or sandals more to play with?
I play with both, but if I had a good pair of tennis shoes, I'll go with those.
When you say tennis shoes, what do you think that were they made of like leather or like were they like actual like they look like kind of like sneakers, like running
No,
shoes?
just
like,
sneakers.
Sneakers.
Sneakers,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I remember back in the day, Fila was like a big brand.
Oh, that was like
Yeah.
circulating and stuff.
Well, I think they were cheaper than Adidas and then
Right,
Nike,
right.
and
They've
all
always
that.
kind of been like
Yeah, so that's what we get. We didn't get the good kind. Yeah, we didn't get the best brand, man.
Yeah. That's funny. Well, I guess like so. Speaking of Fila, well, it's funny because Fila is kind of popular right now. It's like a cool brand.
That's what I seen.
Same with like
a lot of
Champion,
kids.
these like brands that used to be like poor. Like
Yeah.
it's funny. But I guess like kind of talking about the world as a whole. So growing up, like when you're a little kid, like what's your idea of the world outside of Amuco? Like, do you have a perspective of? Do you want to be outside? What do you envision that you're ever going to leave the town? What is it?
When I was that little, let's say, I never even, I didn't go very far. I think I didn't go anywhere until I was, when I came to the States. I think that was when I went the farthest, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I as far as I could go, I was like probably maybe an hour
Yeah.
away from Amuco,
Right.
from my little town, and that's it.
Yeah.
When
Did you have a big idea of what the world outside of it was? Like, did you
Not
want
really.
to explore it? Did you-
I dream and I explore, and that's one of the reasons that I moved to the United
Yeah.
States, because I was so curious about. It's like, what the heck?
Right.
I was so curious about it.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said about mom being kind of father,
Mm-hmm.
and you learn. She taught me a lot of kindness, basically, like to be kind to other people. That's
Yeah.
one of the things that she always did, and I don't think my dad never actually did that.
Uh-huh.
So that was something that I'm grateful that I got from her. And she was kind to other people, sharing food with our neighbors, and because we had a neighbor right behind our house that they, we were poor, but they were a little bit worse than us, I think.
Yeah.
So, and so I remember mom sharing always food with them, and that was something that I
Yeah.
kind of remember.
Yeah.
I remember very well, and I feel like I do that sometimes, and I try to be kind to other people and to
Yeah.
people from Amuco. So that's something that I'm grateful for.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like kind of the equivalent of you doing that this time is like when we would do club soccer. Like you were often the assistant coach, And even if you weren't, like whatever capacity you were involved in, you were usually taking kids with you, and then after the game, you'd get like donuts or you'd buy like a snack or something. Like you were always like trying to, I feel like, give people I don't know, give back and like, treat.
Yeah.
Give
I
kids
try.
a role
I mean,
model
it's
and
just the
stuff.
right thing to do, I think.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I feel like, if you do good things will happen to you. And that's
Right.
I always live by.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my,
Yeah.
I live
no,
by
of
that,
course, of course.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
And like, did you guys ever really have conversations about this, or was it just through watching her?
Just watching her.
Just watching her.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I feel like how
Yeah.
someone really impacted you.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's not like they just told you something over and over. It's like you just have to watch them, and then it got
Yeah.
instilled in you. That's really cool.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Slingshot. Why is that important to you? What's a slingshot mean to a young Mexican
Oh,
boy?
slingshots are so important to me for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
I played with those things like every day as
Yeah.
a young kid.
Yeah. Do girls play with them too, or is it just boys mostly?
Mostly boys. There were a couple girls that
Right.
play with them. Yeah, I seen a couple girls play with them,
Right.
too, but mostly boys.
Total. And I mean, obviously it's different everywhere, but yeah, just I assume in a small town like Amoco would probably be more. But yeah, so
Yeah,
Well,
for
like-
a couple of different reasons. Like when we plant our corn around June, the beginning of June, like during the first week of June when it started raining down in Guerrero, and so we get the corn on the ground, and in 2 weeks after that, you had to be watching the squirrels that we call the quinicas.
yeah.
And you had to be there from sun up to sundown, dude. And that is all day long.
It's like patrolling the palace.
Patrolling the corn. And you had to be walking all the way around, yelling, and I'll have my slingshot around my neck like a necklace, that
Yeah.
thing. And I would have a bag with rocks. If
Yeah.
I didn't have my bag, I'll have my pockets full of rocks. We would go to the river just to pick rocks, just for so we can get the quinicas. But the biggest thing that you always be looking for me, I was looking for iguanas.
Yeah.
Iguanas, because if I get iguana, hey, it's a good meal, man.
Yeah.
And I was pretty good at with iguanas. I remember.
You get hit?
Oh yeah, I remember climbing trees, and
Yeah.
then because they were, I would be on my property, and then 2 kids from this side would be on their property with iguanas, and a couple more kids from this side and on this side. So if there was a iguana up in the tree, hey, I'm willing to go up there, but I'm
Yeah.
keeping the damn thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, or if there were 2, then I'll get one and you keep the other,
Okay.
or whatever.
Yeah. Totally.
But I would go and take that thing down. And,
Yeah.
So I did that a couple of times where,
Yeah.
so we'll bring iguanas home.
Yeah. So what do you do? You hike up the tree?
Yeah, you climb up the tree, and then you got your bag with rocks, and then you.
Will they run away, or they?
Oh
slow?
yeah, they run away, but
So you-
and
so
then
you have to
you
go
get
far away?
you get to a good distance, 10 yards,
Okay.
and try to hit them on the head,
Just hit them in the head. It knocks them
hit
out.
them in
They
the
fall
head,
over.
knock them out, they fall. Yeah,
Fall
or
down.
I mean, if you hit them in a good spot, they would just stay there, but a lot of the times they would try to take off running.
Oh really?
But the guys on the ground, they would
ready.
have a stick and they would just whack them on the head or the body, and you just
Jesus.
kill the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you mostly, like, when you're hunting iguanas? Like, what's the age range that
12,
you most? That's around that.
12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
When I turned 15, I wasn't doing that. That was pretty much done with that.
Yeah. Is it more of like a kid thing?
Not necessarily, because when I turned 15, I moved to the
Right.
to the city.
Yeah. So there's just not as much reason to.
Right. I didn't
Yeah.
have. I was working 6 days a week, and
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have time for that.
No. What's the best way they cook the iguana? What's like the most common dishes?
Well, my mom will always, she called them in like chile seco, like guajillo.
Okay.
Yeah, guajillo. It's kind of like the way that we cook pork in chile verde.
Yeah. So
So,
just like in a sauce.
sauce with guajillo
Yeah.
chilies. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you just
Well, she would peel it first.
Skin it or whatever?
She would clean it up. We'll clean it up really good, and then we put it in the where she in the fire, like a fire pit, where she make the tortillas.
Yeah.
And the skin would just come right really easy.
Oh, it just falls off.
Yeah, it falls off.
Okay.
And then she'll have the sauce ready, and then just finish it cooking on the stove.
Whole?
No, you chop it
Oh,
up.
chop it up.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting. And how often do you think you'd have that? Is that pretty common?
Well, probably pretty common because between my brothers and I mean, my brothers did it a lot earlier than me, so I watched a lot of them. I watched them digging iguanas out of the holes. If they see iguana go into a hole,
I didn't realize they go in holes.
They do on the ground, and
that's funny.
like that thing's coming out.
Yeah.
We will have dogs and shovels and everything with
Oh
us.
my god.
Oh yeah, it will be a bunch of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
but so we have iguanas. We will have lots of fish.
Yeah.
Lots of tilapia, mojarra tilapia.
Is that what grew in the river? Or
Yeah,
swam in the river?
usually tilapia and then catfish too.
There's a lot of catfish down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be back in the day. No, not as much anymore.
Yeah.
But tilapia, that was like pretty. We would have to fish probably twice a week.
Yeah. And did you guys have fishing poles or I can't remember how did you fish mostly? back
We would use a little bit of fishing pool, not as much.
Yeah.
But we did that too. We did a little bit of everything.
then? Yeah.
Like my brothers were really good to go under the water with the what are they called? Goggles? Or
Yeah.
Goggles and a
Harpoon?
harpoon.
Yeah.
Jose and Pancho, they were really good at that.
Was it just like the sharp stick, or did they have an actual like a tool that would shoot out?
It's a tool.
It's a tool. Okay.
It's got a pointy thing on the
And it pops out at you. It
didn't pop out completely. It was it had like a the what's the material used for that slingshot? The
rubber
piece.
like the elastic.
Yeah, and then you attach that to your thumb.
So it was kind of I got you.
Yeah, so you shoot it, but you keep it on your one hand.
Right.
And then if you hit it, it goes what 6 feet away.
Okay.
Yeah, about 6 feet. But you have to get pretty close.
Yeah.
And you had to hold your breath underwater for a little bit.
A little while.
Know?
Yeah.
Jose was really good underwater.
Yeah.
I seen him. He would take a hook with him, or not a hook, a cable.
Yeah.
A cable, so he'll kill one. He'll kill one under the water, and then put it on his little cable, and then sometimes he will come out of the water with another one.
Oh my god.
He was crazy.
That's so funny.
He can hold his breath underwater for a long time. I never was that good for that thing. But I help out a lot. I was one of the guys that. It's funny because I wanted to be with a bunch of those guys there, and I was 6 years younger than those guys.
Yeah.
So I will be the one. It's funny I will collect all their belongings, all their clothes and everything.
Yeah.
And then I will walk, and we will be right here, right? They're like, okay. So, and I wanted to hang out with them, but at the same time, I will go they want me to take all the clothes and take it to the up the river, right? So I would do that just so I'll do it really quickly, go take the clothes, and then come back and hang out with them.
Oh yeah. Any way to be involved.
Exactly. I was just trying to be involved with the big kids. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, because you're the 6th of 8, so like you were always
right. I was one of the youngest, and I remember even playing soccer with them. But I will get the occasion. I'll get a chance to play with them.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I want to play with the big guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't that much fun because they run you over all the time.
Right. But still, no, you still want to at that.
Oh
age,
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely have fish a lot, and we have iguanas a lot.
Yeah. Do you? Yeah, but because you're not eating a lot of pork and chicken. That's like rare, right? Or is that more of like a delicacy kind of almost?
Well, those are the two things that we eat probably the most.
Oh, you did eat a lot of it.
Chicken and but not probably once a week.
Right. I was gonna say it's not like you're not having not
every day. No, we eat lots of what do they call it? Just beans, man.
Right. Would you have a lot of vegetarian meals just because meat was more expensive?
We will have, yeah, I guess we will have some big, whatever grows on whatever we can grow.
Right.
Yeah. Calabacitas, that was a lot of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And beef's even more expensive, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was more rare for us.
Yeah. Like you don't really remember having a lot of.
No, not as much.
Yeah.
I remember mi tia Gelacia, my aunt, my mom's sister, she will send us food all the time. She used to own a restaurant in Altamirano.
Right.
Altamirano, well, it's actually Michoacan, but you just cross the river and you're on Altamirano, Guerrero. So we would get a lot of stuff from her. She would just give it to us because she knew that my dad sometimes wouldn't have a job and here in the States, and if we didn't have any money, she always talked to my mom all the time.
Yeah.
And she would send stuff to us all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I'm curious, when you're young, like 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, like do you have any fears? Do you have any like big world fears? Is religion a part of your life? Like what are you most afraid of as a young kid?
Over there, when you're that young, honestly, you're afraid of people gives you like a scary idea. It's like, oh, el cucuy, and you know,
it's more like mythical.
Mythical, yeah, exactly. So I remember being by myself and going to our property, and it's like nobody's there, dude.
Yeah,
nobody.
Because it's like a mile away from your house. Right?
Yeah, it's at least a mile away.
Yeah,
maybe I'll say at least probably 2.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, at least 2 miles.
Yeah,
and you're by yourself, and then and there's some people on their properties. All of a sudden, people talk to you, and then like, oh, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And they're like right there.
So there's no street lights or nothing.
What's up?
There's no street lights.
No.
Yeah.
No, none of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would scare me a little bit, especially like you hear this story. Oh, there's this crazy lady comes over here at nighttime or whatever, and then you hear those stories from people, or some people just being older guys that just
trying to
scare you.
Yeah.
And as a young kid, I was pretty innocent about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'll get scared.
Yeah. Did you pray a lot? Like, would that
I will
help? I will
pray a little bit, not as much. Like especially when I was by myself, like going to the cornfield. I will cross myself. Yeah, I will do that.
Totally.
Yeah, so I remember one time my dad sent me to our property.
Yeah.
And what did I go for? I went to pick up the donkey, dude. We had our donkeys in our properties.
Yeah,
and I went to get him because we didn't want to leave him there for more than 2 days over there. So he woke me up so early. I honestly think it was like 3 a.m. I didn't think he even looked at the clock. And it was so dark. I probably was, I want to say 12 years old.
Yeah.
Around that time. I was so scared. And then I walk all the way in the middle of the street, dark. I mean, people turn off all the lights over there, most of the lights.
Right.
Only the street lights are the ones that are staying on because people don't want to pay an extra
Oh, there are street
bill.
lights.
Well, not just small lights,
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Like nothing, not like a real.
No.
Yeah.
And it is dark. There's some stretches where there's no lights and no flashlight with me. None of that. So I remember I was like, I'm just gonna go the middle of the street, and I was the only one, like no soul in the middle of the town, and I was like, it's still pretty dark. And then I remember there's like a little parque in Amuco.
Yeah.
And you had to go through there, right? And I was like, okay, well, and there are some benches right there. So I was like, I'm going to sit on the bench for a second. And it was more than a second. I was like, oh, well, it's still pretty dark. And I waited and waited. I think I waited for a long time. I don't remember exactly because I didn't have a watch.
Yeah.
But I was like, I'm gonna wait here until I can hear the first combi, the first the town buses that take people from Nabucco to Altamirano. Like, I'm gonna wait for that. When I hear those things, then I'm gonna go. Because I had to be at school. Though this was when I was already in probably primero la secundaria. So will be seventh grade here. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and so I waited, and it got a little bit light. I can hear the combis. I was like, okay, it's time to go. So I went and did what I needed to do, got my animals, and back home.
Yeah.
But
you're like, there's no way I'm going through this all the way while it's dark.
Well, on my way there, I mean, after once I left, I remember walking into a branch of this tree that was on the ground.
Yeah.
And I fell on top of it, and I remember getting my hands messed up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, crap, this is scary. I can't see anything. And over there's some cows just like on the in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
And you can see them moving sometimes because you're coming, and they're like, what the heck is that? So
someone lurking in the shadows.
Yeah. And you gotta see a black cow. You can't see it until it's moving around, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, nowadays I wouldn't be as scared. But at that time when you're 12 years old, you feel like, what is that? And you see, and then you walk under there's this tree, it's called a capire tree, huge tree, very, big trunk,
Yeah.
And very shady tree, and it gets very dark. So I'll be scared walking underneath that tree.
Right.
Yeah. But those were my fears over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. No, I just can't imagine. Like no watch, no technology, nothing.
None of that.
Yeah.
All I wanted to have a flashlight at that time.
So the town is obviously much different than it was when you were growing up. Did you see that change while you were still there, or was it more after you came back? Like, what do you think are the biggest changes from like when you were like 7 to now? Like, did you see it happening in the 80s, or was it later?
It was happening a little bit when I was like 15 years old. Lots of people started to have cars, like their own cars.
Oh, that was like
a
one
lot
of the big
families.
changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was about 7, 10 years old, not a whole lot of people had cars.
Yeah.
So when I was 15, a lot of people started having cars.
Did people start getting more jobs in cities, or why do you think people needed cars more? Just they were cheaper?
And they were cheaper, I think. And honestly, I think it was that people from the United States, they would start bringing cars to their hometown.
Gotcha.
And they would leave their cars there, and they would come back without their car, so their families would drive their car.
Right.
So that's what it was. And a lot of the small towns, I'm pretty sure that's how it happens to a lot of those small towns.
Okay.
And yeah, people from the States, they used to see a lot of American cars over there.
Yeah. Do you think like, is that a negative? Like, what are the negatives of that dynamic, do you think, where it's like the United States has messed up Mexico a lot and has done some unfair things to them, but now it's like Mexicans are essentially relying on United States like jobs and stuff. Like, what do you think about that relationship?
Well, there's a lot of good and bad things.
Yeah.
The bad thing that you hear stories about these people coming in with new trucks from United States, and then going to Mexico, and they're like, what is this guy doing, and what he does for a living, And they're like, oh, he's selling drugs down in the United States.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of kids growing up, they're like, well, look at that nice truck. Right. Look at the way that he dresses, Mm-hmm. I want to be him.
Yeah.
Like, I want to have all the nice things that he has. And it's kind of like, that's not how you do things. I mean, that's not how you do things.
Right.
So that's one of the negative things that the people that bring their cars and leave them there.
Right.
And they're always spending all kinds of money, and they think they own the world when
Yeah.
in reality it's just stupid.
Right. No, it incentivizes kids to see, because there is more material wealth in that industry.
Yeah.
Whether it'll make you happy, that's a different story.
And you know that,
but-
and you know the funny thing, because I remember that, and when I like years down the road, like the kids that were my age, I remember because when they started coming to the United States early, 17 years old, or 16 years old, 18 or whatever, and I stayed there until I was 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
The funny thing, well, not funny, but
Interesting.
years later, like when they were like 25, 27 years old, they started going back to Mexico. Or they were starting getting deported. A lot of the kids that thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna go to the United States and get involved in drugs.
Yeah.
And now those guys are in Mexico without a job, and you can't even ever come back to the United States.
Right.
So I feel like that what happened to the small town, that they just we don't have the other ways of thinking, opportunity. Yeah, thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go to school, right, and that was a bad thing, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you have friends and like family quietly who have both sides. You have people who have died by drug violence, right?
Yeah.
You know people you grew up with.
Yeah.
And then you also have people who have gotten into the business and see negatives on both sides. Like, I mean, I just feel like so much of that has been around you, and it's good that you didn't get involved in that, but it still has to be painful to kind of see and experience that.
Yeah, and it's just a thing that a lot of these kids that got in trouble, I think I think it's younger than me. It's a generation younger than me, like maybe like 10 years younger than me.
Right, because the drug violence and the drug cartels hadn't really reached Mexico by the time you were like a teenager. That was like a little bit later.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel lucky that I was one of those kids that I learned how to work hard first.
Yeah.
And like 10 years after that, not so much in Amuco.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course there are some kids that are hard workers, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, like 10 years younger than me in Amuco, and I know a lot of kids that are in trouble.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, like now, because like obviously, Lenny made it to college, so like kids can make it to college from Amuco. But right now, do you think that's very common, or like what do you think the state of your town is right now?
Well, I think right now, there's more opportunity right now in Amuco than there was when I was a kid.
Okay.
When I was, for example, my brother Jose, he worked hard. He sent his daughter she graduated. She went to college and graduated.
Right.
So there's more. Internet is crazy because internet, you learn so much, and that wasn't around when I was a kid, so I didn't know anything about how big the world is.
Yeah. What's your first experience with the internet? Is it in the United States?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Here.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I mean, I was when I was 17 years old. I tried to take a class over there in Altamirano. A computer class.
Yeah.
But it was difficult for me. It was difficult because I took 2 years off of school, right?
Right.
And I knew nothing about just even how to use the keyboard or not.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I stopped going to that class.
Yeah.
Because I was working.
Yeah.
I was working Monday through Saturday. And I would take like 3 hours off to go and take that class and then come back to work again.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'll have Sundays off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I wanted to learn because I knew that's where world was heading into,
Right.
computers.
Yeah.
And I was very interested, but I never followed through.
Right. Well, I'm sure it's hard when when you're working that much. Speaking of which, like, I won't keep you too much longer, but do you want to kind of break down the end why you had to stop going to school?
Oh, why? Well, I remember my dad was in, I think it was in Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah, and I was finishing up La Secundaria, which that would be 7, 8, 9, ninth grade.
Oh, ninth grade. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the end for Secundaria, and then after that you go to what is called high school here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to school. My friends were going to school. A couple of really good friends that are successful guys in Mexico. They live in Mexico.
Yeah.
And I asked my dad, like, hey, I want to go to school. Can I, can you support me? And he's like, no, you actually need to get a job.
You had to call him, right?
I call him.
Yeah.
I actually talked to him.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you
didn't get to do this face to face. This is on the phone.
On the
right?
phone. I call him. Yeah, he, like I said, he was here in Virginia at that time. And he told me to get a job.
Yeah, that was it.
And that was pretty much it. And I was like, well, okay, so I guess I'm getting a job. So I took when I turned 15, I moved to Altamirano with my aunt. And she's like, yeah, I have her, if you want to come and live with me, that's great. She said, yeah, I think you should start going with your cousin to the shop as an apprentice.
Yeah.
So I did that for a full year.
Because there's the car shop across the street.
What's up?
There's the car shop across the street, the mechanic shop, right?
Not the one. Well, she had two. The restaurant was in Michoacan.
Okay.
The restaurant.
Yeah.
The house was in Altamirano, in Guerrero.
Yeah.
So Guerrero, there's a bridge.
A river that splits the states, but it's still very close. It's like Vancouver, Portland.
Basically,
Kinda, yeah.
Closer.
Closer.
Still,
Yeah.
So, so she, at that point, she lived in Altamirano, Guerrero, but her restaurant was in Rio Palacio, Michoacan.
I see.
But at that time, my cousin, her son, he worked for his in-laws over here in Altamirano, Guerrero. So
Okay.
I went with him for a whole year. And then I was already making, in a year, they weren't paying me, really. I was just there for free for a whole year. My cousin would give me a little bit of money sometimes, because I was his helper. They call it chalan over there, his helper.
Uh-huh.
So did it for a year, and I started to notice that I was like, okay, I am already doing jobs that they're making money, so they should be paying me a little bit. And I wasn't like asking for a whole, like a big paycheck. I just want a little bit more money.
Yeah.
And I asked them, hey, like, what do you guys think about starting paying me now that I noticed I've been doing some jobs.
Yeah.
And they didn't flat out say no, but they're like, well, we're going to think about it, basically. That's what they say. And then I saw the reaction, and they're like, okay, well. And I talked to my aunt, I talked to my sister across Michoacan. That's where the restaurant was. And across the street from that restaurant in Michoacan, there was the Señor Don Manuel. He had a shop, and he was their customer at the restaurant. He was a customer at their restaurant.
Okay.
So, and they mentioned my name to him, and they're like, well, tell him to come and see me. So I went and saw him. He asked me, do you want to work? I mean, it was like a very brief minute. He was like, I do.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been there for a whole year, and they're not really giving me anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not getting paid. It's like, okay, well, come and you start on Monday. I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I remember Monday that I went, the first day. I went and finished my work day and everything, and then I see him start pulling money out of his pocket shirt. He used to use those guayaberas.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
funny. He used guayabera, those shirts that had pockets on the front
Right,
size.
right. Yeah.
And then I seen he will have like a couple different stash of cash.
Yeah.
He was giving money to all those guys. And there was like five of us, five
Yeah.
young guys. Like everybody was like 16, 17
Yeah.
years old at that time. And then he pulls money out and he gives me 25 pesos.
Yeah.
And I look at him and like, and I was like, ¿Qué es esto?
Yeah.
It's like, I was like, what is this? It's like, and he told me, like, that's you pay for today. And I'm like, for today? It's like, yeah, you did good. It's like, I was so happy, man. I was like, holy crap. I was just so full of joy and happiness.
Yeah.
Because in Amuco at that time, men working in the farm, working in the field was 20 pesos
A day.
a day for all day over there and hard work, hard labor.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm good now. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm going to be working so hard for this guy now.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know what is coming for him. Like, I'm going to be his number one guy. And no, I was so happy to get 25 pesos at that time.
Yeah.
And I stayed there until I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Well, maybe get into the United States will be part 2.
Okay. All right.
Right on. Well, thank you for doing this, Pa.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Te quiero mucho. I love you.
Yeah, te quiero también, mijo.
All right.
I love you too.
Thank you.